I'm Fiona Underwood, and this is a brief overview of the paper Dissecting the Illegal Ivory Trade, an Analysis of Ivory Seizures Data that I've written along with Bob Byrne and Tom Millican and has just appeared in PLoS One. Elephant populations are under threat in many countries due to the illegal ivory trade. To inform international decision making on elephants, it's important that we have quantitative estimates of trends in the trade. However, this is difficult to obtain because the ivory trade, or the illegal ivory trade, is illicit and therefore covert, and it's very difficult to observe. The challenge is to develop ways of estimating the trade. In 1997, the Convention for International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, known as CITES, set up a new resolution at the 10th Conference of the Parties to monitor the illegal ivory trade. Out of this resolution came ETIS, the Elephant Trade Information System. All CITES parties, that is countries who've signed up to CITES, have to report all seizures of illegal ivory that they make to ETIS within 90 days of the seizure being made. In this paper, we show how 11,000 records of illegal ivory seizures from 1996 to 2011 can be used to provide estimates in trends of the illegal ivory trade over time and identify countries that play a key role in the trade. However, there are difficulties with using seizures data to learn about the illegal ivory trade. We have our ETIS records, which are reported seizures of illegal ivory transactions. These represent a proportion of all the seizures that will have been made. We don't know what the number of seizures are, and we also don't know what the proportion of these seizures get reported to ETIS. We're calling this proportion the reporting rate. Similarly, these seizures only represent a proportion of all illegal ivory trade transactions that go on. We don't know the number of illegal ivory transactions that there are, and we don't know the proportion of these transactions that get seized, and we're calling this proportion the seizure rate. If we could assume that the seizure rate and the reporting rate remained constant over time and did not differ between countries, then we could just use simple summaries of the ETIS records to learn about trends in the trade and identify which countries have the biggest role to play. This, however, is a very strong assumption. It is not reasonable to expect that all countries are equally good at making seizures. Some have many more resources than others for making seizures, and some countries have many more resources for reporting these seizures to ETIS than others. In that case, if we see that ETIS records are increasing over time, this could be because there's more illegal ivory trade activity, but it could also be that countries have got better at identifying illegal ivory seizures, illegal ivory shipments, and better at reporting them. If we have two countries with very different numbers of ETIS records, it could be that one country really does have more illegal ivory trade activity going on than the other one, or it could be that that country is just better at making seizures. So we can't just use simple summaries of the ETIS records to learn about trends in the illegal ivory trade. What we have done in this paper is identify variables or predictors of things that we think might allow us to differentiate between countries' abilities to make and report seizures to ETIS. So we construct a statistical model which is conceptually represented by this figure here. We modelled the seizure and reporting rates in terms of these different predictor variables and selected those that provided the best fit to the data. Using these, we produced bias-adjusted and smoothed estimates of illegal ivory trade activity. Because our predictors are only allowing us to differentiate between countries, they're not absolute seizure and reporting rates, we end up with relative estimates of illegal ivory transactions and trends over time and between countries. To model the illegal ivory trade, we also need to consider the characteristics of illegal ivory seizures. A shipment of ivory could contain raw ivory, that's tusks or pieces of tusks, or worked ivory, that is carved or semi-carved pieces of ivory, i.e. the final product, or a shipment may contain both. Shipments could be seized anywhere along the trade chain, and there's really a large number of stages between an elephant being killed and the ivory being removed from the elephant to the final product ending up in the home of a consumer. In this figure we can see all the different stages, and the circles above each stage sort of indicate that there might be several countries involved at any one time. So for example, ivory from a number of different countries may be brought together to put into one shipment of raw ivory. This shipment may pass through several countries before ending up at an ivory processing unit. Ivory from several ivory processing units may be put together into one shipment of worked ivory, which then might pass through several countries before ending up at wholesale or retailers. Individual items may then be purchased and may again pass through a number of different countries as they return with the consumer to their home. Seizures can be made at any point in this chain, and when the ivory is seized officially, it should go into the ivory stockpiles. There is some evidence that ivory from the stockpiles is also entering back into the illegal ivory trade. We want to make statements about the illegal ivory trade in two different ways. We want to talk about the number of transactions, so we've developed a transactions index, and we want to talk about the total weight of ivory, so we've developed a weights index as well. We think it's a rather strong assumption to assume that the trade dynamics will be the same for both raw ivory and worked ivory, and for both small and large shipments. So for example, the countries involved in shipping a small finished piece of ivory from a shop to the home of a consumer are likely to be different to the dynamics involved in a large shipment of raw ivory going for the country where the ivory comes from through to an ivory processing centre. Our statistical model therefore considers 6 different ivory classes, 3 for raw ivory and 3 for worked ivory. These 3 classes in both cases relate to weight. We have small ivory shipments, which are shipments under 10 kilograms, medium, which is shipments between 10 and 100 kilograms, and large shipments, which are 100 kilograms or more. So our statistical model is taking all of that into account to allow us to make statements about the trends in the trade.